And welcome back. This is Out of the Mud Presents Connected and Protected with your host, Dehru Mitchell. And today's title is Long Road Ahead. And let's all welcome Dehru back. And here we go.
Yeah, I chose to say a long road because that's a term that most people are familiar with. But you could say a path, a journey, a taskful interaction with this planet, society, and whatever. But at the same point in time, we are acquiring and assimilating a state of mind of unity, even though as unique and completely different individuals, we are all on a journey. And in that journey, we shall encounter each other. We shall interact with each other. We shall have a state of mind, should have a state of mind that gives us the ability to strengthen the energies that we focus in on and give ourselves the ability to inject our desires into the atmosphere, into the very cosmic assimilation that is called creation, because we are as creators ourselves, even though we have been daunted, very much so, by so many other aspects that were interjected into our minds to give us a lesser understanding of ourselves. But in the flow of consciousness and in the flow of the energies that have come to be at this point in time, we are rising and we are assimilating together with the energies that we have and we're focusing in on, even though so many of us are still very fractured. But in that journey along that long road, we find ourselves mainly looking at each other as we look at ourselves and seeing a likeness and a completeness in the form of having the ability to accept and actually accentuate. That means to give credit, to give a, oh, let's just say, give a certain appreciation to a person being themselves so real that they'll make things become what they desire them to be. And it includes you without without a fracturing of you to be what they consider you to be because they're allowing you to truly be yourself. And while you are also accepting them as themselves. And this is part of that journey that minimizes that long road because when that fullness comes into place, we actually become more abundantly able to fulfill those things that we desire to be and those things that we desire to do because none is left out. Even though some are yet learning, some are almost given up. But in the seeing that in the saying that there are those who refuse to give up, there are those who abound in energy, and there are those who make people to be people, irregardless of all of the fracturing that was done before, because they see the realness of a person being themselves without the foreboding, without the consideration of being contradicted or in conflict with themselves about what they desire for themselves and others in the fullness of their desires. For it's like we have always wanted the best for ourselves, I imagine. And even that extent we've always wanted the best for others, including our children. And that is in how we accept that we we're going to let them be themselves, even though we have to structure and at least conform them to our understanding of what we are to make them what they are. For they have the choice as to how They accept their lot in life. They have their choice in what they want to be in this life, and to be a um, ideal for them. That's all it takes. And then they're stretching out on that road ahead as they assimilate themselves, as they ascend in their position and in their mindset and in their ability to say, I can be all that I want to be. I can do all that I want to do. And have all of these things in a forethought to give it the substance that will make it become a reality for them. For we took that long road, even through all of the detours, through all of the um, abrupt stoppages, like coming to a bridge that's closed off and having to go back before you can go ahead, or just standing there and waiting, or sitting there and waiting, or being there just waiting for that opening to continue in the direction that you were going. Because some would say, I won't authorize that for you, but you have the ability, and now you know that you have the ability to authorize it, you yourself, to do whatever you want to do. And it doesn't take all of their systems to give you that ability. It only takes you to magnanimously, autonomously, and with anonymity do it anyway, because the end results will always be seen. And those who have encountered you in that journey along that road, they're going to have a, mm, just say, an increase from your acceptance of yourself, from your acceptance of them, and for their, just say, learning from looking, learning from watching, doing as they decide you did, not in the same manner of copying, but to have their fullness of becoming, because you are yet becoming, and you have became in front of them that which you strove to be in your journey on that road. You know, it doesn't matter how many encumbrances, it doesn't matter how many, mm, say, facsimiles of faults that have been interjected into mindsets, because that's all they could be. But in your accomplishing yourself, and in your accomplishing to be that light, or that guidance, or that, sheer self, that essence of being that doesn't give room for any of those to say, look, he was less than he was. How can that be? For you are always on your journey, and you figure that out along the way. You get rid of those things that hinder you, you get rid of those things that halt you by either overcoming them or giving them a different meaning, and um, a different meaning and a different being than what was always said that it was, because it wasn't that for you. You have one step at a time. You have take wings and fly. You have, as it was said by a prophet, I was whisked away, and no one knew how. But yet I was there, and then I was not, and then I was again somewhere else. And you'll find that occurs many times in this life, and with many different people, because none um, are given to be, um, just as I say, joined to the extent that they aren't able to still be themselves. But in that joining, they should be able to be themselves with the joining, and that fulfills its fullness. I've learned to accept that, some have never fully accepted themselves to be acceptable to someone else's acceptance of them, while they are yet fully giving themselves into, you know, the interactions, the exchanges, the sharing. And that journey, going where they're going. You know, I have no desire to be what some would call successful based on what they call success, because I feel successful in the knowing that I have a place in someone's life, in someone's mind, in someone's love, and that love is interchangeable and never changes. I have, I've had long term relationships, even if I consider the relationship all by myself, because I never let go of those hmm, those joinings that happen just from meeting, interactions with, having a person in your life for whatever reason, for whatever purpose. I don't let it go because it carries me. The experience of it engulfs me. It gives me fullness. And just knowing that it was a um, unscripted, that's one way of putting it, but it happened. And not because someone else mind endeavored to have the manipulation of what I found to be the interaction, to be the experience, and to be what I accepted of it for me. That, it may have led me to more curiosity, it may have led me to a decisive opinion of a situation and an interaction with someone that, you know, gave me foresight, it gave me perspective, it gave me the ability to interact even more on my understanding of how I decided to be by myself and with someone else. Because in the event that someone else comes along, that's not going to affect who was always there in first, in front, and have had experiences. Now what they take them to be, mm, it can reflect on me, but it doesn't have to, because I find myself headed for a certain place. In that place, only I know, but only I can be the, just say the progenitor or the accomplisher of. And it will happen at its time along that long road. And I just see that so many should have a, just say a joining, you know, to have, you know, a knowledge that we're in that way of being that we're all familiar with, as though we are one and the same, because we have so much of the same thing. We are so much of the same thing. And um, the conflictual additives that were always put in us, you know, I found them very easy to dissipate, because the bottom line was that I felt a certain fulfillment of being with those who are as I am. I don't miss, all of the, just say the attractions or the necessity to improve on me based on what someone else calls or considers an improvement, because I find myself quite able to fulfill that which I desire to do, being in service to others, you know, based on the fact that, hey, I can and I do, and I share freely that, you know, some people find that, they may feel like, I'm a little more than I should be. And that's because they're afraid that, if I decide to do something, it's going to cost them more than they want to pay. But that's not never the case, because their only pay is to increase themselves to the acceptance of having that ability to also formulate in themselves the need to do as they can with the fullness of the ability that they can, without all the interjection and the connotations that have always been added to, you understand, that makes that journey down the road so tedious, because it's always in conflict with the realness of yourself. And when you just let that get all of that get out of the way, you'll find that you can flow. You'll find you can catch wings and fly. You find that you can run and not get tired. You can go anywhere you want to go and be anything you want to be and do anything you want to do. And that shortens that journey, because as you look around, things are changing so much that those old things can't even be refound or restated to make you a part of it again. You're on a path alone, but you're joining in with so many along that same path, along that same road. And the end of that road is the success that you'll be with all. And I do mean with all, because that's the connectiveness. You know, you look around and all you see is all. They'll be in one like sequence. They'll be in one joining that, is never ending. And you'll be able to enjoy it. It won't be something that adversely affects you. It will give you a energetic appreciation for the next advent or the next encounter or the next interaction with another person that you'll say, wow. And then there's so many, you know, there's so many, and most are open, but they don't, but they don't show and they don't know a lot of these abilities. But if you just stop and think silently for a moment as you meet someone, you have a feeling. You know, they come with it, you come with it, and they join together. And if it's meant to have a honest impact, you're going to know that impact from the very first, from the very start. And then you'll also know that it's not something that is so obligatorily binding that you have to feel a need to persist in it, and it's uh, a disadvantage to you. And only to the extent that you are advantaged by all of those things, do you rise? Do you take that journey? And, you know, it's energetic. It gives you the ability to do more than you thought you could, even though, sometimes you're going to be truly exhausted. Sometimes you're going to be at your wits' end, because at that point, that's when new thoughts begin. And those old ones just seem to have, fulfilled themselves to the extent that they're no longer needed, because you see way past them. And, I understand a full road ahead to be um, almost enjoyable, even though there's some going to be some steep inclines, and there are going to be some full declines. It's going to seem as though you're falling, but you won't. You know, you may slip down into a lower place, but that's only so that you can rise up again from the um, understanding that all the way down, you met everybody that you saw going up. Now, they may have been going up, or they may have been, you know, going back down with you. But at the same time, you see, we're all going to meet in one place or another at one time or another. And we should have a joy of the unity of just that meeting because in the direction that we are going, we're fulfilling ourselves. Nobody has to say that I have to be made because I can make myself. I can join in with me even while interacting with you and having, a pleasant interaction without any of the disparages that come from what is, you know, what is it? Because we can allow it to be what it is. I mean, if you have a mode of identity that says you're successful in what you endeavor to do, and that success is enough for you, then by all means accomplish it. But just know that you're also sharing it because there are some watching you, there are some um, emulating you, and there are some who's admiring you in your abilities to become the you that you are and do those things that you do. Because it all manifests itself in a fullness of becoming of us all, you know. And that's one thing that cannot be given anything less than what it is. I have no desire to continuously state the same thing, but in so saying, we have those who are achieving greatness. We have those who have achieved greatness and never have bothered to make themselves known to the world at large. But at the same time, their additions to that world have been astronomical, have made things progress to the point that they are known to be needed, not just for their abilities, but because they add to the fullness of all. And they can't be, what should I say? They can't be dismantled. They can't be disseminated. They can't be belittled. They can be left out. They can be unknown. But just the fact that they are and they have done makes things what they are. And you're a part of that also because you also energize them with them knowing that they had to be a lead. They had to do what they did so that others could become what they were going to be. Even unbeknownst to them, because we got that mind, we got that interaction, we got that joining, that when one accomplishes, it gives another the ability to accomplish also. Even though they're unknown. Some call it an intuitive effect that comes with the vibrational frequencies that we all emit. And then when we do it with the fullness of unselfishness, with the fullness of just becoming and knowing that, we change, but we also change in this world, things of this world. because those who always claim to own it, they don't. Those who always claim to be the best at it aren't. Or those who always claimed and owned and desired to be the controllers of, they're not. Even when you only control yourself, you know that. And then when you share that with others, family, friends, relations, people on the other side of the world that are like minded and like structured, you see those roads connecting. You see those journeys being shortened. You see the end effects being a fulfillment of things that are being done in this world. And they're changing astronomically those aspect of things that have always been projected and demonstrated and told they were be by someone else because they're by you and you know them. You know, you may take a few instructions. You may get a little what they call education, but the learning processes, you're beginning to see you project them into yourself. And then when you see someone else who's like minded, who's like being, you can join so easily in the same processes. You're, as a complete, unique individual, becoming that which you are alongside of them. And that joining together just makes that road and makes that road. You know, you can turn it from muddy quicksand to a solid cement. You know, you can take a gravel road and turn it into a turnpike, as if you know what that is. But you can go full speed ahead too. And I see it being done in aspects of things and in places and with people who, thought they thought and they did. They got rid of every aspect of dissimulation. They got rid of every aspect of denigration. They got rid of every aspect of, those things that made them or were said to have made them less than what they are by proving they were all of that they are, and even a little more than that was said. And they're doing magnanimous things. They're changing four parts of the world. They're changing four aspects of the world, and they're beginning to help to heal this world. And I'm giving that to them. I'm authorizing that to continue. I'm authorizing it to also to progress and be so much more that those who would dismantle even further and continuously fracture and continuously, you know, try to deprive, just fall away to nothingness. And that's our ability of being. For we're so much more than we know in those aspects. But we're learning and we're becoming, and we do know that we have full charge of ourselves if we choose to take it. That will shorten that journey. That will make that long road ahead pleasant. It will make it beautiful. You come out of a stagnant wasteland into a beautiful forested paradise that we knew and we know and we're going to make again. I would say that to the extent that it's a long road ahead, but it'll be shortened step by step. It'll be made measure by measure, and we'll all have an ingredient in it. You know, we'll mix those ingredients and dissipate those things that were projected to be less than good for us. You know, that's even to say we'll make plants that have seeds again. We'll use those and give to the waste and give to the waste that which was wasted, that has no fullness of itself any longer. Let it go to those who are also not, and I do mean are not. Because we are on that long journey. We are on that long road. We have a place to go though. And I'm never hesitate to re-utter from perfection we came and to perfection we shall return. For it was said, even though they did not want to say it, it was also written, and there was a perfection stated. Don't let it enter in, and it has no place with you. You'll find the fullness of yourself being along that long journey, along that long road. Like I said, it'll be pleasurable, be enjoyable, because you won't have the discrepancies in mind and make all those other things deplorable, despicable, any of those nasty things, because all you'll have is the pleasantness of being you and allowing everyone else to be themselves that are as you are. In whatever field they want to go into, whatever way they want to make a fullness of life for themselves, it'll add you to it because it's always going to be abundant and overflowing. And don't you know you'll acquire some of that overflow? It may not be in a measure of wealth as wealth is stated for this society and in this manner, but hey, you know, I've always considered myself as wealth, and I've always considered my wealth as the love that I enjoy in and I receive of and I am a part of. That's a true wealth. You know, it lifts you up. It gives you more able. It gives you more ability. It gives you more able and more ability. You know, not the able that was slain, the able that always thrives. I never found a place where, even though being tired, being exhausted, being, you know, unconditioned to do, held me back from doing when I had a mind to do, for whatever reason, just to demonstrate that I had that ability or that I could, just from the sheer desire to please someone else and be pleased with myself by doing so. That's where I got this mindset that says no of an assuredness that you are, and there is none else. For only you are capable of doing what you are able to do as a means of being you. And in this long journey, I mean, you're going to meet. Ooh, and now in this age of technology and so on and so forth, look how many, look how many you're going to meet. Such an abundance, you won't have a actual interaction with each and every one, but you'll know whom you touched, and you'll feel that return. You know, how Jesus say, when that woman touched him, she said, "I wish I felt virtue go out of me." But what was it when virtue was coming in? You know, when he felt those who believed on him, but when he knew of that source that gave them that belief and that made them be as they were and had them for that purpose, as it was designed, not by a man's mind, but as in creation. Oh, that's that. Now, see, that's the long road ahead. Just knowing that. You're here, aren't you? And you don't know when it's going to end. Not exactly. But you can know of a certainty that you can reach your goals, even though no one else ever knows it. When you find the fullness of yourself whelming up in you and having an abundance of you being you, so much so that you can share it. Even when you're tired, wore out, you know, you can enjoy sharing and someone allowing you to get some rest. It's a beautiful thing. Yes, it is. Especially when they assist you, you know, they tell you, oh, yeah, go on and relax, you know, take a break. I know you've been hard at it. And I know I want more out of you, but I can't force it. And I don't want to make you hurt by doing that. But at the same time, you know, it strengthens you. It makes it a little more enjoyable because some people have a full appreciation, you know, for your abilities, for your talents, and for your sharing it, especially when they don't have the wherefore to just, you know, so I can get some anybody to do it, especially when nobody does it like you. And I mean that in all areas of life because, you know, some people have reached the epitaph of their, uh, you know, of their projection of what they desire to be and share and do. And, you know, it's no problem for our party interacting in it, you know, they accept it as it comes, or they make it so that it's never a conflict, you know. They don't have a problem with saying no, and you shouldn't have a problem with accepting no for an answer. I know I most often do. Accept it, that is. Not have a problem with it. Because sometimes I know I can put myself past the ability that I have in just projecting that, you know, one day I'll get to it. Man, please. Doesn't often it doesn't often happen that way. Because sometimes that time when you can get to it be far past the time that it's needed. So others have to do it. And they have to be, you know. So you know, down that long road ahead, what are you looking at making it shorter, more pleasant, and more able to be life's road ahead instead of just a road? I'm going to leave you to ponder that, and we'll see you the next time.